My daughter took all my savings and flew off on vacation, leaving me with nothing but a note and an empty bank account. $47,000 gone. A lifetime of careful saving disappeared in a few clicks of a mouse. I'm 74 now, sitting in this kitchen at 3 in the morning, unable to sleep. The house creaks around me like old bones. There are stories we tell ourselves to survive, and stories we never tell at all. This one, I've carried this one for 2 years now, like a stone in my chest. People ask why I live like this now, why I don't call her. They don't understand. Some betrayals cut so deep, you can't find words for them. But tonight I think I need to remember it all. Every detail, every moment that led to that terrible morning when I learned that love and trust can be weapons in the wrong hands. Scarlett was my everything after Margaret died. My only child, my pride, my reason for getting up each morning. And she knew it. I am Walter Finch, 74 years old, widower, retired mechanic who spent 43 years fixing other people's broken things. Never imagined I'd become one of them. I live alone now in this house that Margaret and I bought in 1978. The mortgage was finally paid off 3 years ago. We celebrated with a bottle of wine that cost $12. Margaret said it tasted like victory. She was right. The house feels too big now, too quiet. Margaret's coffee cup still sits in the cabinet. I haven't had the heart to move it. Some mornings I catch myself setting out 2 plates for breakfast. Old habits die hard. Scarlett is my daughter, my only child. 34 years old now. Dark hair like her mother. Stubborn chin like mine. She was born on a Tuesday in March during the worst snowstorm in 20 years. I drove through whiteout conditions to get Margaret to the hospital. Nearly crashed twice. Worth every terrifying mile. Margaret died 2 years ago. Cancer. The quiet kind that sneaks up on you. One day she was complaining about being tired. 6 months later, she was gone. Scarlett held my hand at the funeral. Told me we'd get through this together. I believed her. After Margaret's passing, Scarlett started visiting more. Every Sunday, sometimes twice a week, she'd bring groceries, help with the yard work, listen to my stories about her mother. Stories I'd already told her a dozen times. She never complained, never acted bored, just listened. The loneliness was crushing those first months. The house echoed with memories. Margaret's laugh in the hallway, her humming while she cooked, the way she'd call my name from upstairs. All of it gone, just gone. Scarlett became my lifeline, my reason to shower, to eat meals instead of just snacking, to answer the phone when it rang. She'd call every evening at 7, right after her workday ended. We'd talk about nothing important, weather, neighbors, what I'd watched on television, small talk that felt like oxygen. She was everything to me after Margaret died. Everything. The first time she mentioned helping with my finances, I barely paid attention. I was sorting through Margaret's things, going through her jewelry box, finding love letters I'd written her 40 years ago. Scarlett was organizing papers at the kitchen table, bills, insurance documents, bank statements. She said the paperwork was getting overwhelming, that I shouldn't handle it alone, that she wanted to help. The way she said it felt natural, like breathing, like something a good daughter would offer. I trusted her completely. Why wouldn't I? This was the little girl who used to fall asleep on my chest watching Sunday afternoon movies, who came to me with scraped knees and broken hearts, who called me her hero when she graduated college, who held my hand when we buried her mother. The power of attorney papers looked official, legal, complicated. Scarlett explained each section, where to sign, what it meant, how it would help. She used words like protection and security, said it would make everything easier, less stressful for me. I signed without reading every line. I trusted her judgment more than my own. She was educated, college degree, good job in marketing. She understood these things better than an old mechanic ever could. The first few months felt like a relief. No more confusing bank statements, no more insurance calls, no more financial decisions that made my head spin. Scarlett handled everything, called it taking care of her old man, made jokes about me finally getting to retire from adulting. I started noticing small changes. Scarlett's clothes looked newer, more expensive. Her car was different, shinier. She explained it was a lease, said leasing was smarter financially. The way she said it made it sound obvious, like something everyone knew. She started talking about work trips, business dinners, client meetings at fancy restaurants. Her job seemed to be going well, getting more demanding, more rewarding. I was proud of her success, proud that my daughter was making something of herself. But something felt different during her visits. She seemed distracted, checking her phone more, looking at her watch. Our conversations felt rushed, less natural, like she had somewhere else to be, someone else to see. I told myself it was normal. She was busy. Successful people had demanding schedules. I was just an old man who missed having her full attention. Selfish thoughts from a lonely widower. The last time I saw her, she seemed nervous, kept talking about needing a vacation, about how hard she'd been working, how she deserved a break, a real break, somewhere warm, somewhere far away from everything. I should have known. I should have seen it coming. But love makes you willfully blind sometimes. The bank statements started arriving less frequently. Scarlett said she'd switched everything to electronic delivery. More environmentally friendly, easier to manage, made perfect sense. I didn't question it. When statements did come, they were filled with numbers that meant nothing to me. Investment terms I'd never heard of. Portfolio adjustments, market fluctuations. Scarlett would explain them during her visits, her voice patient, her explanations clear. I nodded along, like I understood. She talked about diversifying my assets, moving money into higher-yield accounts, taking advantage of market opportunities. The way she spoke made it sound smart, responsible, like she was protecting my future. I started noticing her jewelry first, a diamond bracelet that caught the light when she reached for her coffee cup. She said it was costume jewelry. Looked expensive, but wasn't. Found it at a discount store. The way she laughed when she said it made me feel foolish for asking. Her purse was different too. Leather that looked soft and expensive. She caught me staring at it once. Said it was a gift from a client. A thank you for landing a big account. Her job was going so well. I was proud of her success. The new car appeared on a Tuesday. Sleek, silver, the kind of car I'd always admired but never thought about owning. She explained the lease agreement, how it was actually cheaper than buying, how the payments were tax-deductible, business expense. Everything was a business expense these days. But something nagged at me, a feeling I couldn't name. The way she'd change the subject when I asked about her work. The way she'd check her phone constantly during our conversations. The way she seemed to be somewhere else, even when she was sitting right across from me. I found myself paying more attention to details. The way she dressed, the restaurants she mentioned, the vacations she talked about taking. Everything seemed just slightly out of reach for someone with her salary. But what did I know about marketing jobs? About what young professionals earn these days? The doubt crept in slowly, like water through a crack in the foundation. I'd catch glimpses of it during quiet moments. When she'd mention spending $200 on dinner, when she'd show me photos of spa weekends, when she'd talk about needing a real vacation somewhere tropical. I started asking more questions, nothing accusatory, just curious. How was work? Was she getting promoted? Were the clients treating her well? Her answers became vaguer, more general, like she was reciting from a script she'd memorized. The last time we had dinner together, she spent most of the meal on her phone, texting someone, smiling at the screen. When I asked who she was talking to, she said it was work. Always work. But her smile didn't look like a work smile. It looked like something else entirely. She started mentioning stress more often, how overwhelmed she felt, how she needed to get away, how she'd been working so hard for so long, how she deserved a break, a real break, somewhere far away where she could just breathe. I suggested she take a long weekend, maybe visit her cousin in Portland, or go camping like we used to when she was little, but she shook her head, said she needed something bigger, something that would help her reset completely. The conversation about the vacation fund happened on a Sunday in February. Snow was falling outside. We were sitting in the living room where Margaret used to read. Scarlett was distracted, fidgeting with her phone, not really listening when I talked. She said she'd found the perfect opportunity, a chance to invest some of my savings in a travel fund, something that would grow over time, help secure my future while giving her access to emergency funds if needed. The way she explained it made it sound practical, smart. I should have asked more questions, should have demanded to see paperwork, should have insisted on talking to someone at the bank. But I trusted her. I trusted her more than I trusted my own instincts, more than I trusted the small voice in my head that whispered warnings I didn't want to hear. The paperwork she brought looked official, bank letterhead, legal language, places for signatures. She guided my hand to each line, explained what I was signing, made it sound routine, like changing a subscription service. I signed because I loved her, because I wanted to help her, because the alternative was suspecting my own daughter of lying to me. And that felt impossible, unthinkable, a betrayal of everything I believed about family, about trust, about love. After she left that day, I sat in the living room for a long time, staring at the spot where she'd been sitting, trying to understand the feeling in my chest, the weight that had settled there, the sense that something had shifted, changed, broken. I told myself I was being paranoid, that grief was making me suspicious, that losing Margaret had made me afraid of losing Scarlett too. I convinced myself that fear was making me imagine problems that didn't exist. But deep down, in a place I didn't want to acknowledge, I knew something was wrong, terribly wrong. I just couldn't bring myself to admit it. Not yet. Not when admitting it would mean accepting that the daughter I'd raised, the daughter I'd trusted with everything, the daughter who was supposed to take care of me, had been taking care of herself instead. The last time I saw her, she hugged me goodbye at the front door, held me just a little too long, like she was memorizing the moment, like she was saying goodbye to something more than just an evening visit. I should have known then, should have seen it in her eyes, should have recognized the look of someone who'd already made a decision, someone who was already gone even while she was still standing right in front of me. But I didn't see it, didn't want to see it. Love had made me blind to everything except the daughter I remembered, the little girl who used to promise she'd take care of me when I got old. That promise felt like a lifetime ago now. Tuesday morning, March 15th. I remember the date because it was Margaret's birthday. She would have been 68. I was planning to visit her grave, buy flowers, spend the afternoon talking to her headstone like I did every year. I needed cash for the flowers. $20. Maybe 30 if I wanted the nice ones. The ones she always loved. Yellow roses. Her favorite. The ATM was inside the grocery store. Same one I'd used for 15 years. I slid my card into the slot, entered my PIN. The numbers I'd memorized decades ago. The same 4 digits I'd used since Scarlett was in high school. The screen flickered. Processing. Please wait. The machine made sounds it had never made before. Mechanical whirring, like something was struggling, like something was wrong. Insufficient funds. The words appeared on the screen in red letters. Bright red. Impossible red. I stared at them, read them twice, 3 times. They didn't make sense. There had to be a mistake, a glitch, a computer error. I tried again. Same card, same PIN, same result. Insufficient funds. My hands were shaking. I didn't understand. There should have been money, thousands of dollars. My retirement savings, my nest egg, money I'd saved for 43 years. 43 years of small deposits, careful planning, living below my means. The customer service desk was busy. 3 people ahead of me. I waited. My heart was pounding. My mouth was dry. I kept telling myself it was a mistake. Bank errors happened all the time. Simple fixes, computer glitches. The teller was young, maybe 25. She looked at my card, asked for identification, typed something into her computer. Her expression changed, became careful, professional, the way people look when they're about to deliver bad news. She asked me to have a seat, said she needed to get a manager. The words felt like ice in my veins. You don't need a manager for computer glitches. You need a manager for problems, real problems. The manager was older, kinder. She spoke in gentle tones, asked me to step into her office, offered me water, a chair, tissues. I didn't understand why I would need tissues. She pulled up my account on her computer, turned the screen toward me. The numbers were there in black and white. Current balance, $127.38. I stared at the screen. The numbers didn't make sense. There should have been more, so much more. $47,000. My life savings, money I'd accumulated penny by penny, dollar by dollar, year by year. The manager showed me the transaction history, scrolled through months of withdrawals, large amounts, transferred to accounts I didn't recognize, authorized by someone with power of attorney, authorized in my name. The dates were all there, the amounts, the destinations, Caribbean resort bookings, first-class airline tickets, luxury hotel reservations, all paid for with my money, all approved by my signature, all legal, all devastating. I recognized the handwriting on the authorization forms, the same handwriting that used to appear on Mother's Day cards, birthday wishes, thank you notes, the same handwriting that had signed my power of attorney documents 6 months ago. Scarlett's handwriting. The manager kept talking, explaining procedures, mentioning investigations, discussing options. Her voice sounded far away, like she was speaking from the bottom of a well, like she was talking to someone else, someone who could still process information, someone who hadn't just discovered that love could be a weapon. I asked to see everything, every transaction, every withdrawal, every signature, the paper trail of my daughter's betrayal, the evidence of how trust could be monetized, how family could be a business transaction. The resort was in Barbados. 5 stars, oceanfront suites, the kind of place I'd seen in magazines, the kind of place I'd dreamed about taking Margaret, the kind of place I'd never been able to afford, the kind of place my daughter was enjoying with my money. The airline tickets were for 2 people, Scarlett and someone named Marcus. First class, premium seats, The kind of luxury I'd worked 43 years to earn. The kind of luxury she'd stolen from me without a second thought. The hotel charges were astronomical. Room service, spa treatments, excursions, shopping. Every indulgence imaginable. Every comfort I'd denied myself. Every pleasure I'd postponed. All purchased with money I'd saved for my old age. For emergencies. For security. I sat in that office for 2 hours, reading through the evidence, understanding the scope of what had been taken. Not just money, not just savings, but trust, security, the belief that family meant something, that love meant something, that I meant something. The manager asked if I wanted to press charges, file a report, contact the authorities. The words felt meaningless. What was the point? The money was gone, spent, enjoyed, converted into memories I'd never have, experiences I'd never share. I drove home in silence. The radio was off. The windows were up. The world outside felt different, smaller, darker, like someone had turned down the brightness, like someone had changed the channel to a station I didn't recognize. The house felt empty when I walked in. Not just quiet, empty, like something essential had been removed, like the foundation had shifted, like the walls were no longer quite straight. I sat at the kitchen table, the same table where Scarlett had explained the investment opportunities, where she'd guided my hand to sign documents, where she'd kissed my forehead and promised to take care of everything. The note was waiting for me, propped against the salt shaker. White paper, blue ink, her handwriting, the same handwriting that had authorized the theft of my life savings. The words were simple, director, devastating, an apology that wasn't really an apology, a justification that wasn't really a justification, a goodbye that wasn't really a goodbye. She was sorry, but she deserved happiness. She'd worked hard. She'd sacrificed. She'd earned this. She told me not to try to find her, not to contact her, not to ruin this for her. I read the note 17 times, counted them, memorized every word, every punctuation mark, every loop and curve of her familiar handwriting. The handwriting I'd helped her practice when she was 7. The handwriting that had just destroyed my life. The phone rang that evening. I didn't answer. It rang again the next morning. I let it ring. For 3 days the phone rang at regular intervals. I knew it was her, calling to check if I'd found the note, if I'd discovered the truth, if I'd figured out what she'd done. On the 4th day, the ringing stopped. The silence was worse than the ringing. The silence meant she was done. The silence meant she'd moved on. The silence meant I was alone with the wreckage of what she'd left behind. I sat in that kitchen for hours, days, trying to understand how it had happened, how the little girl who used to braid my hair had become someone who could steal my future, how the daughter who'd promised to take care of me had decided to take care of herself instead. The betrayal was complete, perfect, devastating. She'd taken everything, not just my money, not just my security, but my faith in family, my belief in love, my trust in the world. She'd left me with nothing but the truth, and the truth was unbearable. The mortgage notice arrived on a Thursday. Red letters, final warning, 30 days to pay or face foreclosure. The house Margaret and I had worked 43 years to own. The house where we'd raised Scarlett. The house where we'd planned to grow old together. I stared at the notice for a long time. The numbers were impossibly large. The timeline impossibly short. The reality impossibly cruel. Everything I'd built was crumbling. Everything I'd saved was gone. Everything I'd trusted was shattered. The medicine cabinet became my daily reminder of what I'd lost. bottles I couldn't afford to refill, prescriptions I couldn't afford to fill, health I couldn't afford to maintain, the pills that kept my heart steady, the ones that kept my blood pressure down, the ones that kept me functional. I started rationing them, one pill instead of two, every other day instead of every day, making them last, making them stretch, making them count, the way I'd learned to make everything count now. Food became simple: bread, eggs, whatever was cheapest, whatever lasted longest, whatever filled the emptiness without emptying my wallet. I lost weight, 20 pounds, then 30. The clothes Margaret had bought me hung loose, like costumes for a man I used to be. The phone never rang anymore. Scarlett's number was disconnected. Her voicemail was full. Her social media accounts were private. She'd vanished as completely as my savings, as thoroughly as my trust, as finally as my old life. I wanted to hate her, tried to hate her, spent hours practicing hatred. But hate required energy I didn't have. Hate required passion I couldn't sustain. Hate required caring about someone who'd stopped caring about me. Instead, I felt hollow, empty, like a house after the furniture's been sold, like a bank account after the money's been stolen, like a father after his daughters betrayed him. Just empty space where something important used to be. The first act of kindness came from Mrs. Chen next door. She appeared at my door on a Tuesday evening with a pot of soup. Said she'd made too much. Said it would go to waste. Said she'd noticed I looked thin. She didn't mention the foreclosure notice. Didn't mention the unpaid lawn. Didn't mention the obvious. She just handed me the soup and walked away. No questions, no pity, no judgment. Just kindness from someone who owed me nothing, who expected nothing in return, who saw a need and filled it without ceremony. The soup was good, warm, filling. It tasted like caring, like community, like the kind of family I'd thought I had, the kind of family I'd lost, the kind of family I'd found in unexpected places. Harold called the next week. Harold from the garage. Said he had odd jobs if I wanted them. Carpentry work, small repairs. Nothing too demanding, nothing too complicated, just enough to keep me busy, just enough to keep me afloat. I hadn't held tools in 2 years. My hands were softer now, weaker, but they remembered. The muscle memory of 43 years, the satisfaction of fixing things, of making things work, of being useful again. The work was simple: replacing a door, fixing a fence, installing shelves. The kind of work I'd done my whole life. The kind of work that had meaning, purpose, value. The kind of work that reminded me I was still capable, still needed, still alive. Harold paid me in cash. Small bills, honest money, earned money. Money that felt different from the savings I'd lost. Money that represented today's effort instead of yesterday's sacrifice. Money that was mine because I'd worked for it, not because I'd saved it. The foreclosure notice deadline passed. I waited for the sheriff, for the eviction, for the final humiliation. But Harold had talked to his lawyer, found programs for seniors, resources I'd never known existed, people who helped when family wouldn't. The payments were manageable now, reduced, restructured, based on my current income instead of my past savings, based on what I could earn instead of what I'd lost, based on reality instead of betrayal. I started sleeping better, not well, but better. The panic attacks stopped. The chest tightness eased. The feeling of drowning receded. I was still underwater, but I could see the surface now. Could imagine reaching it someday. Mrs. Chen brought more soup. Harold offered more work. The mailman started chatting about the weather. Small interactions, tiny connections, the beginning of a life I hadn't planned. A life without Scarlett. A life without my savings. A life without my old illusions. I stopped checking my phone for messages that wouldn't come. Stopped imagining apologies that would never arrive. Stopped hoping for explanations that would never make sense. Stopped waiting for a daughter who'd already moved on. The house felt different now. Smaller, but warmer. Emptier, but more honest. Quieter, but more peaceful. I'd lost the future I'd planned, but I'd found a present I could live with. A present that belonged to me. A present that couldn't be stolen. People ask if I'll ever forgive her. The question assumes forgiveness is something I owe. Something she's earned. Something that would change anything. But forgiveness isn't about her anymore. It's about me. It's about choosing to live in the small kindnesses I do have instead of the large betrayal I can't change. I raised her to be independent. I just wish I'd taught her about loyalty too, about family, about the difference between taking what you want and earning what you need. But some lessons can only be learned through loss, hers and mine. The kitchen is quiet now. The coffee cup is empty. The story is told. The weight I've carried for 2 years feels different. Still heavy, but manageable. Like a scar that's healed crooked, but healed nonetheless. I rise slowly, wash the cup, turn off the light. Tomorrow, Harold has another job for me. Mrs. Chen mentioned more soup. The mailman will ask about the weather. Small things, good things. Things that don't depend on daughters who disappear. Things that depend on me. I walk upstairs to bed. Past the photos I haven't taken down. Past the memories I haven't erased. Past the love I haven't stopped feeling. Love that exists without requiring anything in return. Love that survives betrayal. Love that endures loss. Some stories don't have endings. Just quiet new beginnings. Just small daily choices to keep moving forward. Just the decision to find family in unexpected places. Just the courage to trust again. Carefully, wisely. But still trust. The house settles around me. Old bones creaking. Old walls holding. Old foundations supporting whatever comes next. I'm still here. Still breathing. Still capable of tomorrow. Still more than what was taken from me. Still more than the sum of my losses.